Public relations, marketing, and social media in healthcare requires making the right moves at the right time. Welcome to the Overrated and Underused Show. Here's your hosts, experienced marketers Jennings and Testa, with special guest Adrienne Stoner. Overrated and underused. The Overrated and Underused Show.
Welcome to Overrated and Underused. We're your hosts, Testa and Jennings. So Jen, with this being the first, our inaugural episode of Overrated and Underused, let's tell our soon-to-be dedicated listeners, I kind of want to call them the O and U groupies, maybe.
O and U groupies, I like that.
Right? Let's tell them what they can expect to hear when they tune in.
Yeah, Tom. So each and every episode, we'll explore what's in, what's not in healthcare marketing, where we'll discuss or debate the most overrated and underused promotional tactics that companies are using. We're going to evaluate and offer fresh takes on each, not only for their effectiveness, but what's really going to move the needle and make a difference in 2020 marketing.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. No, and Jennifer, we see all the time how healthcare marketing, it's challenging. Not only because, there are new buzzwords. I mean, you can probably name like 24 right off the top of your head. There's new associations emerging. And then, of course, which we'll get into at some point in future episodes, even the media landscape, publications, they're also evolving. So is the viability of marketing tactics.
Right. Things are definitely evolving. They've been that way in healthcare. I don't anticipate any changes to that, and that's why what's often worked for years ago or even a few months ago won't really have the same effect today. New tactics are being used, and we're continuously seeing marketing budgets get tighter. Mm-hmm. Companies are wanting to prove ROI, prove metrics more than ever, which is really important. But with that leaves little room for a campaign to fail. Most organizations, really don't have the resources to kind of dig in or dig out from a marketing disaster, which makes it even more important that us as healthcare marketers make every tactic count and really use the ones that we think are going to drive objectives and strategies for the companies.
Right. No, and in fact, because these budgets are, again, I wouldn't say they're shrinking, but they're allocated into so many ways. I mean, marketing can sometimes go overlooked. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think definitely companies are looking at every dollar that they're spending, sales, marketing, resources, everything. And that's just part of the business. And I don't think that's going to change. But, what is going to change is, with that marketing budget, what's going to drive the most sales for the company? What's going to move the needle in their brand awareness? What's going to make a true impact to that company and, their objectives? And I think those tactics that go into that marketing budget and the things we were doing 10 years ago are much different than things we are recommending to companies these days.
Yeah, no, and I think too, the other thing that we see sometimes more and more of is how, other folks within organizations are wearing marketing hats, right? So it's like I could be either COO or, the head of product, but I'm also doing some marketing. So I think the show is going to be great to even help those individuals. I mean, sometimes, that's why we're here. We're the marketing pros, we're the PR pros, and even some of the in-house folks are just dedicated to that. But, I think this show that we're going to talk, each and every episode, we're going to also help those folks too, who are kind of wearing the extra hat, to learn about, like you said, some of the tactics that are working, that aren't, that might not be a good fit for them.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I think each company is a little different. Some companies are very large organizations, have huge marketing teams, and then some companies it's, the CEO and, the VP of sales that really want to help drive the marketing for their company. And so I think there's a lot that can be said for both of those. And, there's a lot in healthcare and marketing to a healthcare audience specifically, that really will hit home for both of those, because ultimately, the scope of the marketing department is a little different, but, the tactics that they would use are very similar.
True. Yep. Well, I'll tell you this, I'm hooked. I'm in. Let's do this. Let's, I think we should we move forward?
We've got our first overrated underused groupie.
I think so. It's me. It's Tom the host. So yeah. I'll be tweeting at myself, and I'm looking forward to us. Let's do this. But before we dive into our first debate, and we will get debating, we've got some great stuff ahead on today's show. I feel it might be appropriate to take a step back and maybe give our listeners a little glimpse at who these two charming, charismatic, intellectual hosts are. I think they got a little idea after our opening segment, but what do you think? Sound good? Give them a little bit of background inside the head of Jennings?
Sure. I'm just wondering who these two hosts are and when they're going to show up.
Yeah, I know. No, tell me about it. It's a tough talent pool right now, but they got us. They're stuck with us. So yeah. So Jennifer, what do you think? Give them a little bit about anything and that might make them want to tune in every week to know a little bit about us. What do you got?
Yeah, so I've worked in healthcare marketing for more than a decade, specifically from the agency side. Really kind of gravitated towards marketing, the whole comprehensive package for how a company can leverage traditional PR, social media, marketing, digital marketing to brand their company, to promote their company, and to make a presence known for themselves. I've worked with all different types of clients, from associations to large healthcare IT vendors to smaller healthcare companies. It's been really great. And, my focus is in healthcare, so all of my examples are going to come from that. But yeah, Tom, tell them a little bit about your background.
Well, wait, before you even think about getting off that, Jennifer, hang on. There's something that it is the holiday season after all, right? I'm told that you and Hallmark are like inseparable at this time of year. Come on.
This is true. A lot of people like Hallmark movies, Tom. Don't
there are 5 people out there
on me.
No, there are 5 other people who like that. So talk to them. Yep, you're speaking to them now.
This podcast is not sponsored by Hallmark, although if they would like to, we're happy to accept a check. I do love a Hallmark Christmas movie, and I've probably seen every Hallmark Christmas movie, and I love it.
Impressive. So a little bit about me. I have been working in the PR marketing industry for just over 20 years. Started at age 14. That's why I'm so strikingly young and looking. But yeah, I've been doing this. I've been in-house. I've been at the agency level. I've also worked at the university level too. So again, doing all things PR marketing, leading some of the efforts at these institutions, and also for some great clients now and on the agency side. Marketing is definitely, I know, a big strength of yours. It's something I know a lot about. My expertise also flows more towards the PR and the media relations side of things. But yeah, I think it's going to be great to share some of our experiences in our kind of our past lives, so to speak, with some of the listeners as well. I think it's great. So that's a little bit about us.
Okay. And when did you become so charming and charismatic? Was that just from birth?
Well, I mean, yes, clearly. So, but let's leave that to the listeners to decide, I guess, So, all right, Jennifer, I think if you're ready, it's about time to dive into our first debate.
Talk about the real stuff.
I know, and I want you to play nice because, I think you're the person that could make me cry.
No, we're kicking this off like with a bang. We're gonna.
Okay. All right. I think for our first segment, we're going to take a look at 2 often used kind of content machines, right? We're going to look at blogs and also contributed articles.
Yes. I may get a little bit of hate mail from this statement, but if that's the case, I'm here for it. hello@andersoni.com.
That's right.
You can send those there.
That's right.
But maybe just hold your pitchforks and hear us out on this. But one marketing tactic that I think is very overrated these days is blogging.
Overrated.
I know that I'm going to get all the people that have their blogs and their company blogs and everything that says, what do you mean? Why would you say that? Blogs everyone writes a blog, and it's a great way to get content out there. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Jen, why would you say that, Jen?
Why would I say that? Yes, I agree with all that. But blogs were all the rage in 2005. Yeah, so 15 years ago, blog was the word of the year, like that Merriam-Webster declared. So that's kind of when it became this big phenomenon, and everybody wanted to jump on the blog wagon, and they didn't know what they're doing, and they're coming to agencies and their marketing teams and saying, let's start a blog, let's have a blog, and let's not even knowing like what they wanted to put on the blog, having a good strategy, and everybody just wanted a blog. I think there's so many companies that do have a blog, and they think that's great in some cases. There's a lot of journalistic blogs and a lot of real digital news outlets that are serving as a source with original content. But what I think is an overrated tactic is corporate blogging, company blogging. I just think that content can be better used elsewhere. I think there's other vehicles that are more read. Unless you have a high subscriber count to your company blog, I don't think nobody's reading it except your existing customers.
So wait a minute, let me play devil's advocate for you here too, because you touched upon it earlier. A lot of the big influencers in our industry are jumping on blogs, and you touched upon that. Not just the media. who have their own blogs. I mean, Huffington Post essentially is a blog, right? But then you even have, I would call it a corporate blog in some way, but it's an influencer corporate blogs. I'd say it's, what about the ONC? And they have their Health IT Buzz blog. So my point is, in this day and age too, even for on the corporate side, where there's like a lot of, the media isn't really covering everything. The blog could be a really nice vehicle to kind of get your voice out there. That isn't just a press release. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think it's something people are considering, or you think they just kind of want to get stuff up on a website for SEO, things like that?
Yeah, no, I think, your examples are spot on in that I'm not saying every blog should go away, but I think it's an overrated marketing tactic in that a lot of companies just say we need a blog because everybody needs a blog. Everybody doesn't need a blog. I mean, ONC, yes, they have a huge following. That's a great outlet for them to, put content out. They have a lot of content to share, and publications and, even companies. I'm not saying no company, but a good factor in determining whether you should have a company blog is checking your website analytics and checking the traffic. Do you have visitors? Do you have subscribers? Are people actually coming to read your content? Because if you're just putting it out there for SEO purposes, there's other ways to do that. And blogging it's a big endeavor. It takes a lot of time. I mean, like the average blog post takes 3 hours to write. There's podcasts, there's, videos, there's, infographics. I mean, there's other ways to get content out there or just sharing it on, a website, but blog just feels very dated to me.
To you, the blog is the pager of the healthcare industry there. Now, and again, I think you make a good point. I think you're also saying that like there's got to be some strategy involved, right? So people just think, oh, I can blog, I can write, so let's just have a corporate blog. Let's just have a company blog. But like you're saying, there's got to be some strategy behind that too, right? The various part, not just to put pen on paper, but who's going to see this? How are we going to get out there? What's the content? Things like that.
Yeah, and it's a big time suck. Blogs take a lot of time. The content that you really want for your blog that's going to be valuable is usually by your experts within your company, and take their time to write these unless you have a true readership for this, or there's a strong following, or it's hard to keep up with a very frequent schedule versus, some other mediums where you can share things on social media, share long form, kind of LinkedIn posts, so that's another thing. I mean, LinkedIn kind of has come up with this almost blogging post platform now to where you share articles or share content, longer than just the status there. So, I mean, there's just other ways, but, I've seen so many companies set up these blogs and go into it with the best of intentions and just do not hit a frequent schedule. So then it's just outdated information. Yeah. End up recommending that they take dates off or anything to where it's almost just like a resource page of a website, which I think is great. I think companies should have a lot of educational information, industry issue topics to share on their website and discuss like the real pain points of what their softwares or, what their products really kind of meet the needs of. But I think calling it a blog, like I think, having videos, having kind of a variety of outlet is a much more impactful way. And it really doesn't hold you to the fire against this blogging schedule that you're having your CEO or your, chief nursing officer kind of adhere to. Right.
Well, I think, and also to play, I guess, to that like underused side of the blog, I think, one thing that I find and why they are underused or just useful in general is they're also good places to get kind of cross promotion. For us, sometimes we'll see some of our clients get pickup on their customer blogs for some extra visibility as well. I think so, we certainly, that's something we've seen. And also, vice versa, obviously, our clients could have some customer voices on their blog. It's a good place to also mix it up. I think if done right, you can help drive eyeballs to your website because you can also have some influencers, even on your own corporate blog. I'm not saying that, Donald Rucker is going to come appear on your blog post and do a Q&A with you, but things like that, influencers like that. So I think if again, the content strategy, I think is an important part of this too. And if it's done right, it's planned right. And again, but you're right, it takes a lot of time and effort to get this done. But I think it can be I still think it can be a valuable resource on that side of things.
Yeah. So it's not an end all be all, like
Right.
ban the blog. Like I'm not starting a petition or anything. But in 2020, there are better methods that I would recommend for getting content out there, content distribution, and helping it reach kind of a wider audience beyond just all of your internal employees that look at your website and your mom and grandma.
Right. Hey, well, they got to read too,
Yeah, they're part of our Overrated Underused fan club also.
They are. There are groupies, and they're probably blogging about you right now, and I don't see it as very favorable as I'm reading it right now. So speaking of other content, because you just mentioned there's other ways, right? So that brings us to the next topic we want to talk about, contributed articles.
Underused.
And when I say contributed articles, I don't mean sponsored content. I know that word is kind of familiar to a lot of marketers, a lot of advertisers, where you're paying to play. You're paying a publication, in essence, to pull together an article for you, right? In the case of contributed articles, your content matter expert is the author. Now, you might say my CEO, my executive director, my clinician, they don't have time to write a piece, an 800 to 1,200 word piece that many of these article contributions require, when you read the editorial guidelines. And that's a fair point, but that's where partnering with a writer who knows the industry, and there are some great ones out there. They know the content, they know the subject matter, and I think that they can be great resources to get you there, and at a much lower cost in most cases than paying for a piece of sponsored content. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think contributed articles and content is something that a lot of companies could do more of. It's very underused.
Mm-hmm.
There's just such a value in telling your customer base, your audience that you're trying to reach, finding, a publication that really speaks to them, and, talking about problems that, they're having, or, the pain points of their industry, and how this company is really building products and platforms and the solutions that are out there. Because for doctors' offices and or providers in general, there's so much healthcare technology out there, sifting through everything to see what's really gonna, bring the value to, in this time of declining reimbursements and everything. So there's a lot of kind of noise out there almost, versus just saying, here's the features of my product. These opportunities in articles to talk about issues, industry issues, are really important and really set companies apart from others, so that they really know what they're talking about. They built these platforms, with their customer base in mind, and kind of meeting the needs that they're facing. So articles are definitely a way to demonstrate that.
Right. And I think contributed pieces like we're talking about here, there are definitely cons to it, right? So obviously, some of these are, you get your blog post that we talked about, right? And those are usually in that 300 to 500 word range. But when you get into these contributed pieces, you kind of sometimes jump up dramatically, double that. You're looking at almost, 1,000 to 1,200 words sometimes. And so you really need a content matter expert to really be able to pull that together, pull that narrative together. Sometimes you get a CEO or an executive, a member of the executive team of one of your clients or the company you work for, who can write these things, but let's face it, it's pretty rare. A lot of these are written by the marketing professionals. So again, that goes back into the time. It takes time to write 1,200 words. You got to research, you got to cite sources. So it can be a little bit of as you said, with the blog post, it can be a time suck. But I think the rewards really are just great, because, aside from pulling together this great piece together, now you're solidifying yourself, or your executive, your CEO, your content matter expert, as a thought leader. This is their words. This is their vision on an article form. And I think that's something that a lot of people think undervalue, because, some folks think that, getting an interview for an article is, kind of the end all be all. But I think that's what's overlooked at these articles, these pieces of content, because, I'll give you an example too, without, again, naming names, but, we've had a client who's tried to, pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch to get in certain publications for your continued story on X, right? And, they seem to not want to grab our expert for whatever reason. Sometimes they have their Rolodex of their go-to people, right? It's like, oh yeah, thanks, Tom, but I have, Bob over at X and I want to just keep going to him or her, right? But we've come to them with a piece of, an article, a contributed article, and we've landed that placement, because I think it's a different look. It's something that, an angle they may not have been thinking of too for their story. And again, I think also times they're looking for some of those expert voices in longer form like that, because a lot of these pieces aren't 1,000-word stories. They're really like those 500-word stories that they're pulling together. So I think giving them a piece of longer written form content, they also appreciate that as well for their websites.
I'd agree. And I really think, a big point to this is, or the value that these articles kind of speak to is, you're reaching out to these publications that are in your wheelhouse or the audience, your customer's audience, and they've built the circulation. Like, these are the trusted publications that hopefully prospects, your customers, and those that you're trying to reach are reading. At least I would hope that you have a good enough strategy that you pick the right publications. But so now you're reaching tens of thousands of people versus 27 that are reading your blog. Time-wise, if you think about churning out continual content on a blog, each blog piece may not take as long to write as a 1,200-word article. But, to have a successful blog, you really got to have frequent content. When you look at the grand scheme of the time devoted to each, I would certainly choose, the contributed articles versus blogging.
Yeah. So taking a look at two different kind of pieces of content, the blog post versus the contributed articles. And I think a case can be made for one or the other, depending on what your strategy is, who you're trying to reach, the resources you have at your disposal, and maybe they're both good fits. Certainly they both complement each other too. I think a lot of folks also take ideas that are kind of like birthed on blog posts and turned into a 1,200-word piece, right? So I think the case can be made for either or, but I think in this world of, again, being publishers in general, I think in this current day and age where not a lot of room to get, interview opportunities all the time and getting your voice out there in the media as much with all the noise out there, I think being a publisher, whether you like blogs or contributed articles, is a good thing. I think, and one that I think a lot of folks are considering.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think blogging is not for everybody, but if you have a blog, hopefully you're keeping it current with fresh content and distributing it, finding other ways to build an audience, sharing it in your company newsletters, making sure to share all the posts across social media and, email marketing. If you're writing content and nobody's seeing it, it just, it feels like such a waste. So just finding the really great effective ways to just share that content across broad audiences would be my best recommendation.
Inbox with Adrienne.
Okay.
That is quite the intro. I love that. So aside from debating what's in and what's not in the world of healthcare marketing, we're also going to be joined every episode by the lovely Adrienne Stoner for a segment, well, you heard the lady, we like to call Inbox with Adrienne. Now, Adrienne is a social media marketing whiz, and each month she'll be answering questions from our listeners on really any topic they want, within reason, of course.
Yeah, Adrienne, I'm excited about this episode. Tell us what you have today.
So with this being our first episode, we don't have any questions in my inbox yet. So we wanted to start with a topic that we do get asked often, and that is conferences. What should we and should we not be posting? And HIMSS is just around the corner, so let's take HIMSS by storm. So that we see a lot is visit booth 110, stop by booth 110, and that's not what people want to see. That's something people just scroll right by. You want to sell your ideas, not just your products. You want to make it accessible and you want to make everyone engage with you.
So Adrienne, here I am. I'm at booth 110. It's my booth. And what kind of stuff should I be posting? Like you said, other than just kind of driving traffic there with the booth number, is it multimedia? Is it, what kind of stuff should we be posting?
So yeah, of course it depends on your community. You want to find the right things for the people you want to attract. You don't want to attract someone from the dental world when you are doing doing EMR for a hospital. That doesn't fit. So you want to make sure that you are bringing things to your community. You want to make sure you incorporate the right hashtags. Your goal is to get engagements. You want to get as many engagements as you possibly can. We want that traffic by your booth, but you have to give to get. So if you aren't also on there engaging with your colleagues and your friends there, you're not going to get anything back. So you want to be sure that you're on other people's pages, commenting, liking, just giving your thoughts as well. That way you are getting that in return.
Yeah, I definitely think, something we see across social media is it's a community. It's part of connecting and engaging in conversations versus, just flooding these hashtag HIMS 20 Twitter streams with visit us at booth for the latest EHR software, or really talking about content, like you said, like sharing content or videos or, related stories and examples for the community, just some actual resources that people care about.
But you're right. There's so much noise on social media, and it's kind of making your way through the noise of everyone else that's talking and a lot of chatter out there. So how do you stand out from the rest? And that's a huge challenge. I think a lot of vendors and those at huge conferences like HIMSS, like MGMA, et cetera, that they have to try and navigate each event. Okay.
So with all of that being said, that was my first episode of Inbox with Adrienne. I really want to hear from you all. Please email me at hello@anderson.com, or you can feel free to DM me on Twitter.
You can tweet us, and we'll be sure to respond within 5 to 8 business days. Oh, this is great. Okay.
Well, that's about all the time we have for this month's show. But next month, we hope everyone joins us again, as we're going to be talking about event giveaways versus pre-conference promotion.
Yes, looking forward to that month's topic. It'll be great, as we're leading up to HIMSS. Great. Well, thanks to all of our ONU groupies for listening in. We are sponsored by Anderson Interactive and can be heard weekdays at 10 a.m., 6 p.m., 2 a.m. on Healthcare Now Radio. And email your Inbox with Adrienne questions to hello@andersoni.com, or tweet us at Jen_Jennings, Tom_Testa, or Adrienne_Stoner. And you can follow us with the hashtag #OverUnderRadio. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Overrated and Underused Show with your hosts, experienced marketers Jen Jennings and Tom Testa, and special guest, Adrienne Stoner.